It's easy enough to mark the moment when the NCAA began its rise to power. It was 1951, when an ambitious 29-year-old former sports writer named Walter Byers became its first executive director. Though founded in 1906, the NCAA had long been a toothless association comprised of fewer than 400 universities with athletic programs. Within a few years after Byers' arrival, however, the NCAA was striking fear into the hearts of college athletic officials, coaches, university presidents, and athletes alike. The essential rules governing amateurism were written on his watch. He built and nurtured the enforcement staff that investigated schools accused of breaking the rules. He invented the term student-athlete, which he coined to evade efforts by several states to classify athletes as employees, and thus allow them to collect workers' compensation if they were injured. He negotiated television contracts, cut licensing deals, and helped elevate the NCAA's college basketball tournament into the commercial spectacle we now know as March Madness, where fans are not allowed to bring a drink to their seats that is not from a tournament sponsor, and where even the ladders that the players climb to cut down the nets at the Final Four are made by an official NCAA sponsor. He crushed the AAU, which had held power over amateur athletics before he took over the NCAA, brushed aside congressional calls for reform, and fought anyone who stood in his way. Though universities often resented the NCAA and Byers, they felt they had no choice but to join. By the time he retired, the NCAA had over 1,000 member schools. Largely forgotten today, Byers was a force of nature in his prime, secretive, despotic, stubborn, and ruthless. Although he left the NCAA nearly 3 decades ago, he died in May 2015 at the age of 93. His imprint was so strong that the NCAA's culture today is not very different from the one he imposed on it all those many years ago. But while the NCAA didn't change in the intervening years, Byers did. He eventually turned against his creation, becoming one of its fiercest critics. Having fought all manner of opponents while he ran the NCAA, he joined them after he left, calling for the kinds of radical reforms that would not gain traction for another 2 decades. The original purpose of the NCAA was to devise rules that would make football less risky. At the turn of the last century, football was a new game, and an exceedingly dangerous one. During the 1905 season, 18 athletes died, while nearly 160 others were seriously injured. Alarmed, President Theodore Roosevelt called upon the presidents of Harvard, Yale, and Princeton, football powers in those early days, to fix the problem. The newly formed NCAA wound up eliminating some of the most hazardous plays. Out went the flying wedge, while legalizing the forward pass. "I must say that football has been greatly improved this year," said Harvard President Charles William Eliot as the 1906 season came to an end. "It has less injuries and is much more openly played." By the 1940s, football was by far the most popular college sport, a position it has never yielded, and a fact that drives the decision-making at most university athletic departments to this day. In addition to the Ivy League schools, Notre Dame was nationally known for its football team, as were the Big Ten schools like Michigan and Ohio State. Then, as now, the athletes were supposed to be matriculating students who played solely for the glory of their school. And then, as now, there was plenty of cheating, with under-the-table payments, loosened academic standards, no-show jobs, and the like.